Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and we've got a great show for you tonight. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in just a second. But let me just remind everybody we are live every Thursday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time here down in the western part of Florida. I'm actually in the northwest part of Florida, so we're actually, believe it or not, on Central. I think the rest of Florida is on Eastern Time, and that would be from 7 to 9. For those of you in the Eastern time slot, that's what time you can catch the program. If you're tuning in live, welcome to the show, and thank you very much for tuning in. And for those of you that are going to tune a little bit later, just to remind you, the link to go to the show is blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live. And if you don't want to remember all of that, just go to blogtalkradio.com and go up in the search key and just type Golf Talk Live, and that will bring you to the main page as well. If you're able to tune in live, that's great. We're welcome to have you join us here. And as I said, if you're not able to tune in live, just go to that link or select Golf Talk Live when you go to blogtalkradio.com site, and that'll bring up the main page, and you can go down and listen to the show a little bit later on, as it is. All of the programs are auto-recorded. So if you want to tune in a little bit later on, if you can't join us live, it'll be there about 15, 20 minutes after the show airs. It compiles everything, and you'll be able to listen to it there. And also you can go down and listen to some of the previously recorded shows as well. If you happen to miss any of the earlier weeks, lots of great guests, lots of archive shows there to go in and listen to. But thank you for joining us tonight. Also, if you want to call in during the live broadcast, you're welcome to do so. Speak with any of the guests. You can do so at area code 646-716-4667. Or you can email any questions or comments to me at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And I always update the program, of course, on social media. You can go to facebook.com/Golf Talk Live blog. And also you can follow me on Twitter at Ted and Buck, CEO, and CEO, of course, is in capital letters. Got a little bit different show tonight. I'm dedicating the whole program, the whole 2 hours, to a couple of guys and some other great folks as well. They're going to be joining us throughout the evening. It's Rick Benoit and Bill Stark from the ILDC, which is the International Long Drive Challenge. Of course, for those of you that might remember, they were here a while back, and they're getting ready this weekend to gearing up for one of their major events. And we're going to talk about that tonight here in just a few moments, and I'll bring them on here in just a second. And then we're also going to be joined by Michelle Sheptak, and Bram Churchill, I think, is with us as well. Guys and Michelle, if you're there, welcome to the program.
Thanks very much for having us on the program again, Ted. We really appreciate it.
Well, I look forward to having some great discussion tonight. And let me just, for those of you that maybe are tuning in for the first time and aren't familiar with who Rick and Bill are, let me just explain a little bit about their background, and then we'll get into some questions and some discussion here. The ILDC was formed back in 2010 by Bill Stark, Linda Langerak, and Rick Benoit. And Rick and Bill have been involved in the sport of long drive since back in 2000, and it was really where they first met in competition. And since that time, they've competed in several competitions around the world and have really increased their desire to be able to compete in the long drive. And as I said, back in 2010, they both felt it was time to do something more for the sport of long drive, since it had been giving them really a lot of joy and a lot of fun and excitement over a 10-year period. So they decided that they just didn't want to hold any other event. They wanted to create something special for both the athletes and their families, and that's really what they've done. This weekend coming up here in just a couple days, on Labor Day weekend, of course, is the Canadian National Championship, which we're going to talk about here. It's their 6th annual, in fact. We're going to talk about that. So let's start it off. Rick, I'm going to start with you. Maybe just give us a little sort of brief overview of the event, and then we'll get into some further discussion.
All right, Ted. This weekend, as you said, is our Canadian National Championships, and this is where we select Team Canada to go down to the International World Team Championships. This year it's being held in Manzanillo, Mexico. And, you know, this is a great weekend. We're here at Starks Golf Course in Port Rowan, Ontario, and it's really the home of the ILDC in terms of the Canadian National Finals. This is the premier event in Canada for long drive. And we've got 40 competitors from across Canada coming down to Port Rowan, Ontario at Starks Golf Course this coming weekend to compete for the Canadian national title and their spot on Team Canada. So it's an exciting weekend for us here.
Well, fantastic. Now, you said there's 40 competitors, and you're going to whittle it down to how many are going to be able to make it on the team, or is there more than one team?
We have one team, Canada number 1, and that team is selected through the process itself of this weekend. So the 3 top open hitters, first, second, and third, the winner in the women's division, and the winner in the seniors division will make up Team Canada number 1. They're our premier team from Canada, represented in Manzanillo, Mexico, in 2015 at the World Team Championships. Through the process here this weekend, because we have so many great hitters coming from across Canada, Bram Churchill, who's with us today, is from Newfoundland. We have Michelle Sheptak, who's here from California, who's born and raised out west in Calgary. We've got Lisa Luswick, who's coming in from Calgary. And then we've got Dwight Riddle coming in from the West Coast. We've got a number of hitters that are coming in from far and wide into this one local location in Ontario to compete for Team Canada. So we do a select team, what we classify as select teams, to go down to the World Team Championships for Team 2, 3, and 4. And that'll be based on performance here at the National Championships this weekend.
So we're going to talk about in a little bit here. We won't get into it right now exactly what is involved in the competition. Obviously, it's a long drive competition, but we'll get into some of the specifics of what the competitors, how many opportunities they have, and how the elimination process goes. But it's this coming weekend. So how many days is the actual event, and when do some of the competitors start coming in?
Most of the competitors will start arriving tomorrow. That's historically when everyone kind of flies in. We have a few that have arrived already, as we said, but most of the competitors will arrive tomorrow, get climatized to the area, go to one of the local ranges here and practice. Tomorrow's really set-up day for us here at Starks Golf Course, and the competition gets underway on Saturday morning. Saturday morning we have what we call the last chance qualifier, and the last chance qualifier that is basically for new people to the sport who wish to participate in long drive and have never experienced what we have to offer. And we do have a few people that have already signed up for that this weekend. And then we get underway with our opening ceremonies. And our opening ceremonies consist of the playing of O Canada, of course,
sure.
and our draw. One of the unique things about the ILDC is that we do the draw in front of the players as they sign up, and we complete registration. There's no hidden mirrors or curtains or anything else. We do it in front of them so that there's no skepticism, perhaps, as to how we selected the groups going into the competition. Then we get underway at about 9:45 on Saturday, and that's the first ball in the open division. The open division will carry through till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we start with the seniors division on Saturday afternoon, and that will complete the day of probably about 5 o'clock Eastern time here at Starks Golf Course. Sunday we come back and we lead off with the women's division, and this year, for the first time in the history of the Canadian National Championship, we have some new ladies involved in the sport, which is great for developing women's long drive. And they will lead things off for us on morning, and we'll follow that through right to the championships of the ladies division for Team Canada number 1. Then we go into the seniors, and we follow that up until the seniors declared a champion, and then we finish off the event in the afternoon with the open hitters and the longest of the event for the weekend.
Now, obviously, I'm sure all of the competitors are preparing coming into the event, and obviously, I guess it depends. How much advance time, as you said, a lot of them are going to be coming in tomorrow. A few of them have made it in already. Typically, how much time do they spend preparing? Bram, actually, let me ask you. Let me just go back here for a second. Bram, is this the first event that you've been in with ILDC, or is this something you've been involved with for a number of years?
No, I actually met the guys in 2001. Became a member of Team Canada in 2002, and I've been with them ever since. So this is about 13 straight years to me that I've been involved with Rick and Bill. I followed them just about all over the world playing for Team Canada as a senior, and this will be my, I think, 14 years.
Wow. And just now, what qualifies as the senior division? What is the age bracket? Where does it start, or does it go by age? How do you sort of do that, Rick and Bill?
The senior division starts at 45 years. It's 45 years and older in the birth calendar year for us. So if you turn 45 in that calendar year, then you're classified as a senior. Bram Churchill, who's with us, and he can speak to his age, he's about 20 years senior to myself here, so he's got his work cut out this weekend.
You're not going to let that intimidate you, though, Bram, right?
No, I let them off with a little bit, but it'll all come through on the weekend. Who'll come out on top? These guys are only 45 years old. I turned 65 4 months ago.
You know, I was going to say when you said 45, I was thinking to myself because traditionally, senior age was always 65, and then they've slowly been creeping it back to 55, and now you guys are moving it to 45. So I'm well into the senior division now, myself, being 51. But no, that's fantastic. Now, is Michelle there now or no?
Yeah, she's here too.
All right. Well, hey, good evening, Michelle, and welcome back to Golf Talk Live. Michelle, I know that you're gearing up for this event, and you're coming here to warm up, and you're looking to do some damage this weekend, correct?
I hope so. I traveled far enough for it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now I know, and I won't give out too much information, but I know that you recently, from some of the social media, I know that you recently had a little bit of a personal mishap. Are you physically okay as a result and able to compete, you think?
I'm definitely able to. I'll give it my best go. There's a little bit going on with it, but you know what? You just got to have the mindset that you're going to go out there and do your best, and whatever ball you put out there, if you put your best behind it, you never know. It's golf, so I'm going to go out and have fun this weekend and hope that some of the training pays off.
Exactly, and I got to tell you, from some of the stuff that I've seen on Facebook, I can't think of too many people that I know of that train any harder than Michelle Sheptak, that's for sure. And I think she puts a lot of us to shame when she has her fitness regimen and the time that she spends in preparation for golf in general. And I know that you've been working very, very hard here for a number of years, but particularly over this last year. And I know you've done some stuff with a good friend of mine, Byron Casper. You've been doing some work with him.
Yeah, him and I, well, as you know, his dad passed away this year, and I got a great opportunity to train with him out at the Billy Casper Golf Academy in Utah, which I actually was the last student that was there, and then he closed that one down. But he took on a couple of director positions, and so, time constraints, I wasn't able to work too much with him. So, moved one door closed, another one open, and I have an amazing team. I feel very complete for the first time in 8 years of competing with the team that's working with me now, and it's going to be a bit of a journey to get to where I want to go, but it's not about the sprint this year. It's about sticking to a program and working on things, and, Canadian Nationals is just another day in golf for me right now. It's in the way of a long process that I'm in, and I'm excited to put it all to the test. So that's why I'm here. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm doing a bunch of new things, and it's hard, and it's different, so I'm not going to compete. This is one of the events I wouldn't miss for anything during the program, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and I know you are going to definitely give it your best, and I want to wish you a lot of luck this weekend. I know you're going to give it, as I say, you're going to give it your best, and I know that no matter what, win, lose, or draw, that you're a champion all the way, Michelle. You do a lot of hard work, and I know it's going to pay off. Guys, let's Bill and Rick, before we get some of the others calling in throughout the evening, let's talk a little bit about the rules of the event. What are some of the rules, the general overall rules? And then also for the selection process, I know you talked a little bit about that for making the Team Canada, but specifically, let's talk about the rules of the event.
Well, the rules are fairly simple. They're in conjunction with the USGA proper. The clubs, first and foremost, and I know that most of the golf population has this misconception that perhaps long drive and long drivers on hole use clubs that don't conform to the USGA. And that's factually incorrect. 10 years ago, that would be a correct statement to make. But today, our clubs conform to the USGA rules in terms of CT testing. Club head itself must conform. The shaft must conform, and the length must conform to the USGA rules. And with our national process and our international process, we do testing and we do measurements to make sure that all of the clubs are conforming to the USGA. In terms of the grid here at Starks, this is probably one of the toughest grids that you'll ever compete on. It's 40 yards wide and 450 yards long. We use a golf hole here on the golf course, as we do for all of our majors, Ted. We have some of our qualifying events that take place on driving ranges, etc., but all of our majors take place on a golf course. And the reason for that is we're trying to bring long drive back to the golf community. We want the regular golfer who plays here at Starks or in Myrtle Beach or wherever we happen to be in the world, who play that golf course, who know that, hey, we ended up on that first trap on the right-hand side, and these guys are blowing by it by 100 yards. So it brings the reality of what these athletes can truly do in a long drive competition on a golf course. And Starks, as I said, is probably one of the toughest grids that we'll have in competition for all competitors, for women, seniors, and the open division.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead, please.
In terms of the rules, you have 6 balls. You have 3 minutes to hit those 3 balls. We have 2 people in the tee box at a time. We split the 6 balls into sets of 3. So you'll hit 3, and then your opponent will hit 3. Okay. Depending on the numbers in your group, you may have 4 people, for an example, in your group, and we take the 2 longest in your group into the winner's bracket, and then the 2 that didn't quite go as far into the loser's bracket. Right. The loser's bracket in our division is a very tough battle on the way back to the winner's circle. There's no question about it. There's a lot of hitting and a lot of performance that has to take place. So it's not a one-off, hey, I hit that ball 380 or 390 or 400 yards. You truly have to perform at your best in order to make it back into that quarter semifinals and then into the championship round. Once you find yourself in the championship round, you have to ensure that one person will have 1 loss, the other person will have 0 losses. You have to have 2 losses in our tournament to be out. Once that happens, a champion is declared. So there's a lot of hitting that goes on, and you alluded to the fact of Michelle's training and Bram in the years that he's been involved in this sport, and truly with the preparation that goes into this sport itself, with the athletes that are involved in it, it truly is taxing on the body, and they do have to work hard at it in order to win this competition. There's no freebies, that's for sure.
And that brings me to an interesting point, and since I've got the 2 of them on here earlier than some of the others that are calling in, because I'm certainly going to give an opportunity for everybody to have some time on the program. But Michelle, I'm going to start with you, and then Bram, I'd like you to chime in as well. Michelle, I already have a general idea of some of the things that you do, but what are some of the things that you try to do to prepare for this type of event? And I know you don't want to give too many secrets away, but what are some of the things that you do physically and even emotionally to prepare yourself for an event like this?
This year, 2 words: biomechanics and fascia. And you can take that for what it is, because you're 100% true. I'm not going to give away a lot of what I'm doing, because it is a process. I mean, Ted, you know a little bit about my training. It's definitely a daily grind. Yeah. I have to stick to it, and I truly have really only been at it really hard, 100%, because I finally grasped it for the last 3 months. I mean, I went out to Hawaii in July and trained with a guy that's been studying biomechanics for 30 years and studying the top guys on the tour in what do these certain top players have in common, and studying their fascia, and that's what I'm learning in that respect. And now, through that, I've got a great trainer for my golf swing. I've got a fitness trainer that fully understands rotation. And they all talk the same language, and because of my nursing degree, it clicks. I mean, it might make some people spin their heads and go, it's too technical, but it's funny because I think of my backswing now in terms of what part of my anatomy is moving, and for years it was, how do my hands move? Well, how do my clubs move? What's my first swing thought? I don't have that anymore. It's what part of my anatomy am I going to move, and it sets up so many other things, but I've got to work at it. I'm basically changing my entire structure from the inside out, and it takes work, but I feel a lot stronger in the short time I'm doing it. When it's there, it's really amazing and fun right now, but if it crisscrosses it with a little bit of my old stuff, that's what I got to work at, and it's just going to get better. It's really fun now. I'm excited about it.
And it's an ongoing process. It's like anything, you know, as anybody that has played golf for any length of time, it's a lifelong journey. You're never going to master everything, and it's something you're always going to be learning, or at least you should be learning as you go along. And I think if anybody really says, well, they've sort of learned everything, which I don't think you'll hear anybody that plays or performs in the golf business, you know, with any sort of seriousness, is going to say that they've mastered everything. Even the best of the best players out on the tours will tell you that it's always a learning experience. Michelle, let me ask you, and then Bram, I want to switch to you and allow you some opportunity to discuss some of the things that you do to prepare. How important is nutrition, do you think, for what you're doing? Now, obviously, on a personal level, I know you want to eat well and do things like that, but does nutrition play a key role, do you think, in your sort of fitness regime and having the energy and stamina, if you will, to be able to compete in these types of events?
Yeah, and more so this year. Like, it's almost backwards of what I used to do. I used to think, if I train hard, I eat healthy, but if I had a cheat day or a cheat week, I didn't really get upset about it because I knew my training was going to keep me in shape.
Right.
But now, it's a very different type of training. So nutrition has actually become more important because I'm not going to get that physique from the type of training I used to do. Last year I did a complete overhaul, recuperating from an accident, and I was probably in the best shape as I'd ever been. It's not about the physique and the look anymore. It's about what I can do from the inside out, and so that's been a little bit of a challenge. I'm realizing now that it's not necessarily, I'm talking about, think about Bubba and Dustin Johnson and Tiger from 10 years ago, smaller guys, even Jamie Sadlowski, if you want to talk long drive. They're lean, they're not the tallest or the biggest guys out there, and they're at the top of their team, and they're the standouts, and there's a reason, and that comes back to my coach that studied the fascia and highlighted certain things, and that's where he's really gotten his research and understanding, and that's what I'm trying to emulate, basically. So the structure of how I used to think of what do you call being in shape has changed, and nutrition bumped up to probably my second priority, where it used to be maybe number 4 out of my top 5 things.
Yeah, and I agree with it. Well said, by the way, Michelle. You know, I think a lot of people And that doesn't mean that you can't, and for those of you that probably don't know what I'm going to say here, In-N-Out Burger, of course, is a franchise out in the California area. They don't have it here in Florida, at least that I haven't found. You're certainly not, you're certainly not, forbidden for going through the drive-through once in a while and cheating and having an In-N-Out Burger or something along that lines. But ultimately, you want to make sure that you're eating healthy overall. And again, you can certainly fall off the wagon, if you will, or on the wagon, what have you, once in a while. But you're trying to, this is not just about the competition. You're also trying to eat healthier for you, correct?
Yeah, for me. I mean, I'm getting older. I want to be in this for a long time, and that's kind of what a lot of my decisions have been based on. I want to have longevity in my career. I want to take it to a higher level in my golf game as well as long drives, and you got to start doing it smart. And, it's funny, but here's a complete black and white contrast. John Daly has never been really known for the clean eater, the fit guy, and he falls into the category of the people that have been studied for his fascia. He's extremely flexible, but I am as well.
Right.
That's been to my advantage because I didn't have the mobility behind it. So we've been taking what everybody thought was an advantage for me in golf and corrected the dysfunctions around it to making it an advantage, where someone like John Daly, he's extremely flexible, he has amazing fascia, and he can do what he can do because he can smoke and drink on the course. It doesn't matter. That's not going to change what he does,
No.
you know?
Right.
His biomechanics are there, and that's what makes him a great athlete.
Exactly. Bram, what are some of the things, and again, I'm going to involve fair play here, Bram. I don't want you to necessarily give away any of your secrets, but obviously you prepare for these events. How much time, in general, do you prepare for these types of events? How far out from the event do you start preparing for it?
Ted, I'm a little different. Our golfing season usually only runs for about 4 months. In Newfoundland, as you're aware, I'm on the east coast of Canada. But we haven't got the opportunity that a lot of guys have of practicing through the year. So I put myself on a very strict, I work out quite a bit with rubber bands. I put myself on a rubber band exercise program. And also, I'm close to a golf course where I hit 400 balls every second night. So I can outlast a lot of these young guys when it comes to hitting golf balls. So I'm a fanatic for hitting golf balls. I've been at this for 13 years, and in that 13 years, I've been very fortunate. I've won 6 Canadian championships and 8 Newfoundland Masters championships, 5 Quebec Atlantic Canadian championships, and 3 World championships. So, and it all goes to, for me, it's hitting golf balls. I leave 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm until dark. I'll hit 400. If I feel great, I'll probably pick up a couple of hundred, and I'll hit another couple of hundred after that. So it's a very strenuous program that I put myself on because at my age now, and I'm competing against guys 20 years younger than I am, I've got to try to keep in shape. And that's one of the things that helps me get through it.
Now, one of the things, like you said, obviously you have a very short season. I lived actually in the east coast of Canada for a number of years. I was in the Navy in Halifax for 5 years. So I'm very familiar with your area, and I know it gets pretty darn cold early fall there, so you don't have a lot of time compared to some of the other competitors there, but obviously you make very good use of your time. And it sounds like you've earned some bragging rights with all of those accomplishments.
I've got my way around the circuit quite a bit. Thanks to, I've never been involved with any of those guys here, Rick and Bill. I met them in 2001, and we became pretty close friends. I took a lot of abuse from over the years of my accent and where I'm from. But, whatever goes around comes around. That'll eventually figure itself out. But I've been very fortunate to be able to be with these 2 guys. And I'll tell you on a personal level that anybody in the long drive community that knows Rick and Bill, they're 2 of the best guys that you ever want to be involved with when it comes to the long drive community, because these guys put their heart and soul into it. And this is the reason why I've stuck with them, and I'll go right to the very end with them. So long as I'm able to hit a golf ball, and so long as these guys want me to be in competition, I'm going to be there.
Well, and well said as well, Bram, and appreciate your thoughts and input. Rick and Bill, let me ask you this. Obviously, it feels very good to hear, competitors like Bram really appreciate what it is that you do. And we've talked about this both on the air when you were last time and off. And Bill, if you want to chime in this time, or Rick, it doesn't matter, either one. This obviously gives you fuel, if you will, to continue on and just make it a bigger and better line of events coming up, correct?
That is correct. And it's people like Bram and the competitors that come to our events that keep Rick and I going. As you know, we don't have any sponsors at this point, and it's kind of tough sometimes to drag yourself out and get things going. But it's competitors like Bram that make you dig a little deeper, work a little harder, and make sure we put on a good event for the hitters. It's all about the hitters, and Rick and I firmly believe that sooner or later somebody's going to wake up and say, okay, let's help these guys out. Let's make it bigger and better.
Now, obviously, you guys have experienced, since ILDC's inception, you've obviously experienced some growth and development along the way. What are some future areas, do you think, that you'd like to see that the sport grow? What are some other things that you would like that maybe currently isn't going on that you'd like to see happen? And that's for Rick or Bill, or both.
Well, as we've talked to you in the past, I mean, we need sponsorship. Sponsorship means a lot to us. We have very little. That hurts. But, yeah. I mean, we are moving forward. We've approached the U.S. this year. We are going to be putting on one event this year in the U.S. Hopefully next year we can put on a lot more.
Right.
We're in negotiations with a certain guy right now.
Sure.
That could put us over the top. But even if he doesn't come on board, we are going to move ahead. We are going to get involved in the U.S. stuff. We are going to keep our Canadian stuff going. Mm-hmm. The hitters have spoken. They like what we do. They're on board with us. We've got a waiting list in the U.S. right now for people to come on board and come down to our international competition. That's huge to Rick and I.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes. It doesn't do us a lot of good cash-wise because we can't really offer anything more cash-wise as far as the event goes, but
right.
It does keep us going, and you know what? If the hitters are behind us, we will keep going. We're going to keep on going. We're going to do what we do, and so far so good. Everybody likes what we're doing.
And I think it's important to note, Ted, since the conception in 2010, we've quadrupled our numbers at our international World Team Championships. So the word is getting out that the organization as it stands is a stand-up organization, and what we say happens. And it's for the hitters. And we talked about this on the last show.
Right.
Our event is family-orientated, especially when we get to our national championships here. We're going to have a lot of family members that come to Starks Golf Course and enjoy not only the event here, but they have a Bay Fest going on in town, so they'll go to that as well in town. It becomes a family experience, and truthfully, when we get to the World Team Championships, you really see, people from around the world coming together in one location that have perhaps never met each other before, that by the end of 7 days, they're long-lasting friendships. And through social media, they keep in touch with each other, and they communicate with each other, and they share secrets about their training and equipment, and perhaps get new equipment builders and so on. So it's a really good development of not only the family aspect of our organization, but of the sport as well, because we grow on an international level amongst ourselves. And one of the things that Billy and I, we always try at every event to get out and be a part of the event, meaning we try and meet everybody, and not just the competitors, but their family members and talk to them about what they'd like to see in long drive and how they'd like to see the sport grow. And in 2 years ago, we formed a board of directors for the ILDC. And the ILDC board of directors is there to advise and I and their hitters that compete in our organization. They're there to advise Bill and I on things that we could do differently and improve how we do things in our event. And I think that's crucial in terms of growth. And obviously it's working because we've quadrupled our numbers in the last 5 years.
You know, and again, well said, both Bill and Rick. You know, the way I always look at things in life is if you provide a good product and or service or both, people will recognize that and they will gravitate to your organization as a result of it. And that's why you've had, you know, despite in some ways being at a disadvantage financially, in that respect, that will certainly take care of itself. Number one, build the product and build the brand to the point that you get support and momentum, which obviously you guys have been doing for a number of years. And it, as Bill alluded to earlier, you know, you're stoking those fires, if you will, on an international basis, and it's going to be just a matter of time, probably sooner than you think, where it's going to be very well recognized, and people are going to say, "Hey, these guys have got a super product that they've put together here, or brand, if you will, and it's something that is complementing the golf industry." You know, one of the things that's I think is interesting about long drive for those that out there that maybe don't hit it as far, we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go through the program, but and get maybe some tips, if you will, from some of the long drive hitters that are going to be calling in tonight. In addition to Bram and Michelle. But, you know, one of the things that I think has to happen is people have to recognize that golf is not just about playing 18 holes. There's other areas of golf, like the long drive. And what makes long drive so interesting is this fascination with being able to hit that little white ball, you know, essentially a mile. You ask any golfer out there, what's their favorite thing to do, and that's to belt that golf ball a mile on the driving range. Certainly they want to have shoot some low scores, and those that are highly competitive wanted to work on other areas of their game. But you can take the worst golfer and let him or her hit one superb drive and just launch that thing, you know, theoretically a mile out there in the driving range or even out on the hole, and they're hooked. And that's what brings them back. So long drive is just a natural expansion of an existing golf legacy, if you will. And it sounds like you guys have put a lot of hard work together to produce this brand and this product and service. And obviously, as a result of all that hard work, it's paid off and you're getting the recognition. And it's only a matter of time before it grows to a point where things are really going to take off.
Well, every sport, and as well said, Ted, I mean, every sport has its niche. And if you look at baseball, for example, you know, baseball has a home run derby. For all those guys that can crush a baseball and hit it over the fence, I mean, they hold an actual all-star home run derby. In terms of golf, this is our home run derby. This is for all those people out there that can truly perform in a time limit with 6 golf balls on a 40-yard grid in a fairway of a golf course and hit it long. And you know, for the masses out there, I don't think they quite realize the time and the effort that goes into the preparation that these athletes do to perform in such a small time frame with only 6 golf balls. And in saying that, a lot of them who are calling in tonight have performed on a world stage, both on a national level, on a world level, on an international level, and have got a lot of accreditations. And you know, it goes beyond that in terms of the equipment building and the people that they have coaching them, as Michelle said and Bram said, in the preparation that they do. But the one thing that I do want to comment on that it wasn't brought up in the physical attributes nor the nutritional attributes of this sport is mindset. And mindset is probably the number one attribute to this sport, because there's a lot of people out there in the world that can hit a ball a long way.
Yeah.
But when you get into a national or an international or a world competition, your mindset has to be that you trust in your swing and your ability, and you trust in the equipment that's been built for you by your builders. And that's no different than any other sport in the world. You have to trust it, and you have to have the mindset going into it that I'm here to win, and I'm here to perform and show everybody that I can do this. And that separates the winners from the losers, in my mind.
Exactly. And on that note, Rick, I see that we've got somebody else that wants to join on the discussion tonight. So let me bring them in and welcome them into the panel discussion. Good evening and welcome to Golf Talk Live. You're on with Rick and Bill, and I'm, of course, your host, Ted Odorico. Hi, good evening. Hi, welcome to Golf Talk. Oh, I guess they got on the yeah. I'm sure they'll call back. But anyways, just to add to your thought, Bill, Rick, sorry, you're 100% right. I'm going to have to really focus to get the names straight tonight as everybody starts calling in. So I'm trying to keep that list handy here, so as people call in, I know who I've got. But you're right. You know, golf is not just a physical, and obviously there's a certain aspect to it because as Michelle alluded to as well, if you look at somebody like John Daly, who certainly is not the fittest guy on tour, and chain smokes, and has had his share of drinks over the years, but has a certain,
my hero.
Right, certainly, has the flexibility, and not only that, has the finesse. I remember seeing him years ago at one of the Canadian Opens when it was still at Glen Abbey, and I remember talking about this with somebody afterwards, and not only was he belting it a mile out there, but he also had a phenomenal touch with his short game. I mean, his putting was incredible, and even his wedge play. And for kind of a husky, burly type guy, he had not only the ability to drive it along, but when you look at him from a distance, you'd think this guy's 2 heartbeats away from a stroke or something out in the golf course. But he was able to perform some pretty incredible feats. Now, obviously, over recent years, he struggled with a lot of different things. But to go to Michelle's point, certainly you don't necessarily have to be the most physically fit person out there to be able to compete. There's certain things that science has proven you have to have key attributes, if you will, and the mental is one part of the game as well that comes into play.
Oh yeah, exactly. And thank God for that, Ted. You haven't seen me yet, but I'm kind of along the lines of John Daly on that patch.
Well, I'm more of the long and lean, and of course I'm putting a little extra pounds here and there, so I'm going to have to email Michelle and get her to forward me her fitness regime and see if I can get into as half a good shape as she is. Maybe I'll be able to be competing next year in your 7th annual Canadian Championship, National Championship. But
as a fellow Canadian, Ted, we'd love to have you. I know you're from Burlington, Ontario, so great to have you out.
I think I'm going to make a point of coming to next year's event. Let's talk about we've talked a little bit about the growth of the sport and some of the things, and I want to ask some of the players. I want to get their take on it as well. And obviously, we talked about the preparation a little bit, and I'm going to ask some of the other folks that call in. But Michelle, I want to go back to you for a second if you're still there with us.
Yep.
When you're in the tee box, when you're there and you're ready to compete, what are some of the thoughts that you're thinking about, if anything? And again, I know you don't want to give away too much, perhaps if you got some secret mixture going on there. But what thoughts are going on in your head when you're in the tee box?
Honestly, it all comes back to basics for me. For too many years, for too long, I've thought too much, and so now I really try to keep the thoughts for the driving range at practice, and during practice really work on turning all that off and then trying to pretend you're in competition mode. And so, ideally, that's not the time to be thinking. You need to just go out there and the work you've put in, hope it's stuck or your body's learned it, and just go out and do it. So honestly, this year it's really going to come back to checking 2 things. And a huge thing always is going to be the grip. You got to make sure. I mean, if I hit a shot that goes awry, I'm definitely checking right now to make sure that my grip is what I've practiced, and that's going to fix a whole lot of other things or create a nice chain reaction to make it work for me. And so I'm trying not to put too many thoughts in my head, and I think that's a killer. I mean, as Rick said, it's hugely a mental aspect of the game, and if you're up there with 6 things going through your brain, mentally, you don't do that when you're out golfing with your friends. You try to one up them and say, oh, you did that, watch what I can do, and that's usually when you hit your biggest ball, and you just got to kind of have fun with it, let the competition side kind of sit idle and go out and really do what you really can do, because nothing's more frustrating when you know you can do it, and when you're on the clock, you don't do it. And that's the key with this. So
exactly. Well said. I see we have somebody calling in. I think this might be Lisa. And let me bring the caller on, and we'll continue the discussion.
Awesome.
Good evening and
hello.
Good evening and welcome
to Golf Talk. Yes, it is Lisa.
I knew it was Lisa of Luswick. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Welcome to Golf Talk Live, and of course we've got Rick Benoit and Bill Stark, Michelle Sheptak, and Bram Churchill are on with us as well. And so say a quick hello, and then I've got some questions for you.
Perfect. Well, hello, everybody. And honestly, we owe so much to Rick and Bill for putting on this national championships. You know, they believe in long drive. They believe in that sport in Canada and taking it abroad. And we wouldn't be here without Bill and Rick. So big thanks to Bill and Rick for everything that they do.
Here. I agree wholeheartedly. Lisa, let me ask you. I asked Michelle and Bram this a little bit earlier, but again, without giving any trade secrets, I know that you're very, very busy in golf, not just in long drive, but other things as well. I see you all over social media, of course, and I try to follow what I consider people of interest. And what I wanted to ask you, what are some of the things that you do to prepare for an upcoming event like this?
Well, you know, I think it's important to prepare for just what you're expecting, because the National Championships has a different format than the World Championships. So I think it's important to practice in your sets. So, for instance, at National Championships, it's a match play format, and it's 3 balls, and then you have to wait, and then the other competitor will hit their 3 balls, and then you hit 3, and then 3. So I think it's important to kind of practice it in that way. And then at the World Championships, it's a bit of a different format in which you must hit 6 balls within 2 minutes and 45 seconds. You're hitting against 4 people at the grid at the same time, and you've got some people that are yelling mid-swing, and I'm not the barbaric yop kind of person, but you have to make sure that you practice beside people who are, you know, yelling and screaming when they hit, because otherwise it rattles you if you're not used to that when you actually get to the competition tee.
Right, exactly. And hold that thought, Lisa. I want to bring. We've got another guest that wants to join us as well, and then I got to come back to you as well. But let me just bring them on so I don't leave them on hold too long. Good evening and welcome to Golf Talk Live. You're on with Rick and Bill from ILDC.
Hi, Rick and Bill and Ted. It's Stephen Lowe calling in.
Stephen, how are you?
How are you doing? Hi, Steve.
Good, boys.
All right, you're ready for some competition. Stephen, before I get to you, just a couple of other things that, Lisa, I want to ask you, and I want, if you can, hang on for a little while. I don't know what your time schedule is like, but Lisa wants you to hold on as well. But, Lisa, let me ask you this.
Sure.
You talked a little bit about some of the things that you do to prepare. What about mentally? Obviously, you, as you just indicated, you practice or you try to practice around somebody that maybe shouts a little bit to get that sort of built in as well. But what are some other things that you do mentally to prepare for a competition like this?
Well, I think mentally it actually goes along the same route. So at national championships in the 3-ball sets, you know, you've got to look at all the different outcomes that can happen. So, for instance, I have gone out of bounds on my first 3 balls. Now you're sitting there and the other competitor is hitting their 3 balls, and you're going, holy cow, I'm down to 3. And you've got to practice that scenario and that situation so that you don't let fear or doubt creep into your mind, because you want to be hitting your best shots. You want to be confident. confident. Michelle referred to competing in making sure you're in a good place and happy, and that I think that is a good thing in terms of I think it's great to practice. If you hit one out of bounds or 2 out of bounds or 3 out of bounds, now how are you going to handle it? Now you come back and you get to hit 3 more, and your first of that set is out of bounds. How do you handle it? So I think it's great to try to simulate some of the situations that you might encounter on the tee, so that if and when they happen, you're prepared for them.
Exactly. Well said, Lisa. Now, I'm going to ask, and Stephen, I'm going to give you an opportunity as well to talk about some of the things that you do to prepare for competition. But Lisa, let me ask you one more question. When you're on that tee box and it's your turn, what are some of the thoughts that you have going through your head? Is there key trigger thoughts that you have in order to get ready to perform, or are you or somebody that likes to try to clear their mind completely and maybe just have one thought or maybe 2 thoughts in preparation to execute your shots?
I think that's a great question, because I think it's really important not only for long drive competitors but for the regular average golfer, is that you can't have too many swing thoughts in your head. It'll eat you alive, and it's too confusing. So I think I do like that idea of one swing thought. For me, it's just I've got to make sure I don't have any tension. So I like to take a deep breath out. That's kind of my trigger for me. And then hopefully with enough pre-shot routines, and again, I encourage all your listeners out there who are golfers, again, whether you're amateur golfers or you're single-digit handicaps and looking to play pro, is that make sure that you have that pre-shot routine down, because then it becomes automatic. Your body starts to go into a rhythm. And if you watch any LPGA or PGA Tour event, you will see that every single player has a pre-shot routine, whether they're in the fairway, in the bunker, on the putting green, there's a pre-shot routine. So I think let your body take over, but for me it's just get that tension out first and then let that pre-shot routine take over.
Well said. Stephen, what about yourself? You obviously do your own routine, if you will, to prepare for an event like this. And I understand that you're coming into a competition. You're going to be, speaking in front, if you will, theoretically, through some of your fellow competitors. So you don't want to give away too many secrets in that magic potion bag that you're carrying. But what are some of the things that you do to prepare for a tournament like this, and how far out do you start preparing?
Ted, I don't have any secrets. Actually, the competition for me is the payoff for all the work we do on the front end year round. Rick mentioned it, and we work pretty hard. We prepare hard. We practice a lot. I practice with some fellas in Burlington, and in the winter we practice in Ancaster inside. And I look at the day of competition as this is what we did all our work for. And I love, you mentioned earlier on the tee box, actually Lisa was mentioning it, verbal, people that yell and scream. And I love that environment. I love hitting against Bill. I love hitting against Ron Lampman, because we actually have fun up on the tee box. We talk to each other. And when we talk to each other, it relaxes me. And I need to be relaxed, because unlike Lisa, I have 15 swing thoughts when I pull the driver. Ted, you haven't seen me swing a club, but I have a 3-second pause at the top of my swing because my brain is getting ready to down.
I think that's unusual. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody having a 3-second pause.
It may be a bit of an exaggeration, but it's like...
I think that's an anomaly.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, he's got a 3-second pause at the top.
We're going to call him on time there.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Stephen. No, please finish your thought.
No. So for preparation, I really, it's like, for myself anyways, I think it fits most golfers. I mean, I hit balls today, plus I played golf today. I could go out tomorrow and have a completely different feeling in my body and not be able to hit the broadside of our barn, or when it comes to long drive. I may feel different on Saturday morning than I do on Sunday morning. So I've had to learn to go with what I have on that particular day and let the adrenaline take over when I'm up in the tee box. Sometimes I succeed and sometimes I fail.
And Ted, it's important to note that, Lisa's won the Canadian National Championships in 2011, and Stephen has won his 2-time and defending champion coming into this year's event. So, he's done well in the seniors division 2 years in a row now, and he's coming into this event as a member of Team Canada number 1, who was represented down in the Dominican Republic last year. You know what? He's represented long drive very well, as Lisa has, you know, people are going to be looking to take his title. I know Bram's sitting back here chewing on a bone right now, just wanting that trophy. So.
Oh, and I'm all over him like white on rice.
Yeah. Well,
but you know, Stephen mentioned a really good point. There's a lot of camaraderie around long drive, and I think that's a really cool thing. And you know, I also am chatting sometimes on that tee box and cheering each other on. But we want each other to hit our best shots, and so that was a great point that you made because that helps relax me too.
Well, and Lisa, you bring up a great point. You know, really in any competition when you're at a professional level like this, you know, you're not there. You know, even in your head. I've talked to a number of pros over the years, and obviously I host another program with Cindy Miller, LPGA professional Cindy Miller, called The Women of Golf, and we've talked about this on air, on and off air. That really, when she goes out and has played on the Legends Tour and that, and when she played a little bit earlier in some of the LPGA events, you know, she doesn't wish any ill will towards her competitors. She wants them to go out and play their best. And hopefully she's going to play a little better in that event. But she certainly, and that's one great thing about golf. It's not there's not any animosity in golf. Everybody wants everybody to do well. I mean, there's no worse feeling, and I'm talking about on the PGA Tour or LPGA Tour, than seeing a player that's maybe leading the tournament, and then all of a sudden it's like the chair or stool gets kicked out from underneath them, and they've just sort of collapsed. And we've seen that over the years with a number of players that have done so well. So obviously it's the same thing in yours. You want to see them hit well, and obviously you want to do better than they do, but you're certainly not going to wish them any ill will in competition. Something that I want to something I want to ask you guys outside of the competition. Let's take it away from the competition for just a second. And this is a question, obviously, as I alluded to earlier, a lot of people out there still struggle in golf in general, but everybody wants to know, you know, is there a secret to hitting the long ball? So I'm going to ask each of you, and what I'll do is I'll go back because Bram seems to be an expert at it. He's won so many events. Bram, I'll start with you. Michelle. Michelle, we'll let you have some thoughts, and then Lisa, and then last Stephen. So, Bram, what do you think some of the secrets, if there are any, or technique, if you will, in hitting a long ball?
Well, for me personally, it's practice. I've been at it for such a long time now, and that's where I get my benefit from. That's my biggest thing. Is just like I love hitting golf balls. I hit 400 every second night when the weather is fine, and it's just for me. It's just practice, and like everybody was saying, you've got to put yourself into a mindset that you can actually do it, and you're looking forward to meeting all these guys at the Canadian Championships, and you try to strive to make yourself better, to be competitive with them. So for me, it's just constant practice.
Michelle, what about yourself? What do you think is some of the and I know secrets is not the right word, but a lot of people want to know, you know, how do people hit the ball so far? Why is this person? And the reason why I draw such a contrast is obviously yourself and Lisa and some of the other competitors keep yourselves in phenomenal shape. And as we talked about a few moments ago, somebody like a John Daly who maybe isn't in the same physical shape is able to hit that long ball. So in people's minds, theoretically, they're thinking there's got to be a secret, there's got to be a special technique. What is it for you that helps you to generate that power, if you will, in order to hit that ball a little longer than, say, the average player?
I'm going to say it's how well you toss your ball on the driving range. Honestly, it's going to come down to you have to believe, you truly, truly have to believe you can make that ball go further than the person beside you. And, you know, even the guys on tour, look at all the winners this year. There's been a great show of different winners, new winners, and they've all made it come down to really what the person. Ethan Day's latest win, it all came down to he wasn't going to give up till he got it done. And it wasn't easy. He just knew he was going to get it done that day, and he saved it till the end and brought home the trophy. And long drive is very much like that because there is a lot of champions on the driving range. Mm-hmm. And when you got to up to the grid and you're against your buddy or someone that you've been trying to beat for a while, and now you're on the clock, you can't even get the ball in the tee sometimes. So you've really got to, number one, believe in your own abilities, and number two, I really think you have to know what works for you. You can't look at someone else to go, oh, that's how they made the ball go far or high or whatnot. You have to work with what your body allows you to do. So what may work for, because Lisa's listening, what Lisa's style is and what works for Lisa, and she's had a win at nationals. I can't go home and go, oh, that's what she did. That's what's going to work.
Right.
It's not about that. We're different builds out here. I'm shorter than a lot of the competitors. I'm smaller. I've got to figure out what works for me and work within that and focus on that. And that's kind of where I'm at for this next year. It's really, someone's highlighted really what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are. And, in fact, we're not training my strengths. We're training my weaknesses. And when that all combines, it's going to be really, really fun. And I may not get that title, but that's the goal. In the end, it's did I hit my best ball, and if that's the best that I can do, everybody's going to feel like they won, and that's what makes it fun in the very end. So I really think it's about you believing, number one, and number two, working within your own ability and just do it.
Well said, and that's so true. So many great points there. Lisa, obviously, Michelle raises a great point overall, being that she can't necessarily do what you're doing and what some of the other competitors are doing. She has to find it within herself. Let me ask the question a little bit differently from you.
Well, no, I think I get the question. So actually, can I go forward with what I thought you were? Yeah.
Yes.
So I believe there absolutely is some technique. 80% of women can't hit it over 200 yards. The fault for most women is most women are arms lifters, and so they don't make that good turn because women typically tend to be more flexible. So if you really want the secret, I'm going to tell you exactly why Jamie Sadlowski at 5'10", $165 hits at 417. It's about creating power, coil, and torque. You need to create rotation. If you want distance, you must create rotation. You must create turn. If you are not turning your body, you have no power, coil, and torque. So if your listeners out there are looking to add distance, they need to create turn. So great things to do this off-season as we're heading into the Canadian off-season. Work on creating flexibility, rotational flexibility. I used to be a gymnast, and I can still do the splits, but that doesn't make me flexible in the way I need to be for golf. And so I think for yoga, take yoga out there. If they want to work on hitting it longer, also, what are your turning muscles, your oblique muscles, your core, your legs? Everyone always grabs my arm when they find out I'm a long drive champion, and they say, oh, wow, 2 tickets to the gun show. It has nothing to do with arm strength. If you want to hit it longer, go do some squats, plyometrics, work on your oblique muscles, your core muscles, planks, anything to get you stronger there, because you know what? If you want to hit it longer, here's a great swing thought for your listeners. You don't want to swing harder, you want to turn harder, and that's where that power is going to come. And one last tip for your listeners, if you want to hit it long, if you want to get to that 3 bills mark or start hitting it 10, 20, 30 yards further, you've got to make sure you're accelerating through that golf ball. A lot of people, their practice swings are beautiful because there's no ball in the way, so they make this great practice swing. You put a ball down, now they stop swinging at the ball, when in fact, you've got to swing through that ball. Your club head should be moving fastest 3 to 4 feet past the ball. So that's what, if you want to add distance, make a good turn, turn harder, don't swing harder, and accelerate through that golf ball. And those truly are the keys to distance.
Fantastic. Very well said. Stephen, before I get to you for your comments on that, I see that we've got somebody else here on the line. Let me just see if we can get them to join in the conversation as well. Good evening. You're on live with Ted and Bill and Rick from ILDC. Good evening and welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Hey, guys. How's it going? It's Ron Lampman calling in.
Oh, hey, Ron.
How's it going?
The party started now.
All right. I'm glad I'm in.
Okay, Ron, before we get to you, just to let Stephen have some thoughts on the question that was sort of on the panel, and then I'm going to get to you. Stephen, what your thoughts on for some of the listeners out there that maybe want to hit that ball? Is Lisa pretty much on the mark, do you think?
Yeah, she's bang on, Ted. It's really about club head speed. So different body shapes will produce it differently. I'll give you an example. We're fortunate enough to I live in an area in Burlington and Hamilton where the senior world champion Jeff Gavin hit out in Ancaster, and I've hit with him a few times this year. And you want to watch somebody, he's a large man. He's physically very strong. The reason he hits it so far is he rotates, like Lisa said, similar to Jamie Sadlowski. It's the speed at which he rotates. And if you have the ability to do that, which I do not have the ability that Jeff Gavin does, but I can make up for it in other areas by I will never swing the club as fast as him, and you're listening, who will never swing the club as fast as him, or maybe even some of us that are on the show tonight. It really is about learning how to rotate on the way through the ball, the fastest that our bodies can allow. And over the years, I was focusing so much on the backswing, and we watch the PGA Tour players, and they don't turn their hips on the backswing, but they turn their shoulders a lot. And if you notice, a lot of these young players, ladies and the gentlemen, they're going through back injuries. There's a lot of struggle with injuries. I kind of go by the theory that back in the Sam Snead days, where they turn their hips and their shoulders back together, then unwinding is better on the body. And for myself, it's helped me pick up some club head speed this year in particular. So I go with on that. It's basically the faster we can rotate around, the faster club head potential we can come up with.
Awesome, absolutely.
I want to ask another question here, but Ron, I want to give you an opportunity to jump in the conversation as well. Ron, just tell us a little bit about how long you've been involved with long drive, and how many years you've been involved in the long drive competition specifically.
I started back in about 2002. I did a little qualifier, and I actually made the first year I tried it. I qualified for the World Finals and choked when I got down there. I didn't do very well, but it was a great experience and a big eye opener to see how far these guys were really hitting it, right? And I've been off and on since about then. And Rick and Bill called me there last year, and I just basically got back into it again last year. So I'm really excited, and Bill and Rick are doing great things with the ILDC, and I'm fired up to be back involved in this sport. There's nothing better than standing in the blocks and AC/DC blaring in the background and people cheering you on. It's a great sport, and I love it. And it's good to see everybody again, and I'm excited. And I'm looking forward to seeing where the ILDC goes into the future.
Well, and thank you for that. It definitely, as was discussed a few moments back, there's certainly a lot of camaraderie and a lot of, I guess for lack of better words, love in the air with this particular group and this particular organization. And this is something I think, number one, I think in anything that you do in life, you have to have fun. If you're not enjoying it and having fun at whatever you're doing, it can be a very miserable experience. So it obviously, as I said, Rick and Bill, to you earlier on in the conversation, you guys have found a formula, if you will, that has proven to be successful in not only creating a great product and even a service, but you're also well on your way to growing and expanding, because the people that you've surrounded yourselves with recognize what it is that you're trying to do. And I'm a firm believer, that if you surround yourself with good people and you treat them well in that circle will continue to grow by word of mouth and just by your reputation. And if you do the opposite, then they'll scatter like mice in a barn fire. So you obviously have found a secret to the longevity of your organization, and I know it's going to continue to grow and expand as time goes on. I said I had another question that I wanted to ask, because this is something, and I just want to sort of lead into this, and then I want each of you to sort of comment as well. Obviously, equipment to you guys is very important. You're probably very, maybe even to some degree, finicky about the equipment that you use. But one of the misnomers I've found, and I've made no bones about speaking about this publicly in the golf forums that I've discussed in. I love some of the technology that's out there, but one of the things that I don't like is, and I understand the reasons it happens with the manufacturers, but there's a lot of promises that are made with every new driver that comes out every year, and really no equipment, I don't care who makes it and where it comes from, if you don't understand how to use that equipment properly, you're not going to reap the benefit. you guys obviously know that. You're able to put those club faces on the ball the way they need to. You're able to generate the speed that's necessary, and that's why you get the results that you do. So I want to start with you, Ron, and then we're going to go up the ladder, if you will. Stephen, Lisa, and then Michelle and Bram, and Bill and Rick, you're welcome to chime in as well. How important is equipment to you? And do you understand the point that I just made that for the amateurs, I'm talking mainly for the amateurs out there that are trying to gain distance, that necessarily going out and buying a $400 driver is not going to get the results if they don't how to have the proper techniques. Correct?
Absolutely. I think, technology obviously has come a long ways, and with technology and the new stuff out nowadays, you can hit the ball farther, but you still can't buy a straight shot. Right.
No.
So you got to get that club face square and work on your swing. But I think with the long driver guys and the guys that are playing professional golf, they get their equipment tuned right in for their club head speed, for how they're swinging it, and technology and the equipment they have to be able to do that. It's huge for long drivers. I mean, the shaft's going to bend and it's going to kick, and you want to make sure it's kicking at the right spot. And there's spine technology and spine, so there's a lot of science behind it for sure. And I've got an old driver. I've got equipment from back in 2002 that I used last year, and I'm going to use again this year. And it's just it works well for me. It's not the latest and greatest technology, but it works well for my swing. So I mean, you gotta build these things and hit balls and figure it out, I think. But for sure, technology has a long way. It helps.
Yeah, you're just making excuses.
What's that? Yeah, that's why I use that old stuff, because if I have a terrible day, I just look at this stuff. It's ancient. It's no good for me. Right. It's just everybody swings different. Everybody's got a little bit of different club head speed, and I mean club head speed's very important, obviously, in this game. But if you can't square the club face, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I've seen guys hit it farther that are club head speed with 130 miles an hour, hitting it farther than a guy that's swinging 155 because the 130's squaring it up and the shaft's kicking right for him. So there's a lot to it for sure.
Yeah, and you, again, make an excellent point. I think for players at a higher level, whether it be in a long drive competition, such as what you guys are gearing up for this weekend, or whether you're playing on one of the professional tours, that equipment certainly has a strong impact on their performance. But obviously, as I was alluding to, for some of the amateurs out there, they're going to certainly get some benefit. There's no doubt from some of the equipment. But again, it boils down to them having an understanding of how to use that equipment properly. So, Stephen, how carefully do you select your equipment when you're preparing for stuff like for tournaments like this? Are you much like Ron, where you're using a 12-year-old driver, or are you somebody that likes to keep up with technology?
No, I'm pretty fussy about my driver set. I have and I use 3 drivers, and I've used them since last year. Nobody else is allowed to hit them. They go in the corner in the basement, and nobody else is allowed to touch them. So I'm pretty particular. But to be more specifically, a more specific example is my wife, how technology has helped the average player. She weighs 110 pounds. We put her in an adjustable Cobra driver last year. She swings the club at about 95 miles an hour. I gave her a 15-degree driver loft because she does not create the club head speed, and she picked up 25 yards as compared to what she was using before. So I fit her, which I thought at the time was appropriate for her swing speed, and I think all players in general, regardless of skill level, for the most part, the error that most average golfers do is they don't have enough loft on their drivers.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Lisa, before I get to you, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
Finish your thought.
We don't need the loft. Yeah, see, the long drivers, we don't need the loft. We want to reduce the amount of spin that's put on the golf ball. So that's why we use lower lofted clubs, 7s down to 4s, whatever. But for the average golfer, that's not enough. They need to get the ball up in the air, get the ball spinning, and the spin creates the airflow to keep it in the air.
Exactly. Lisa, before I get to you on the equipment, we've got somebody else that's going to join us here as well, so let me just bring them on into the program, and then we'll continue with you. Good evening, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. You're on here with Rick and Bill from ILDC.
Hello. Hi, this is Neil Seanville calling in.
Welcome to the program. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing
very
well.
I guess I'm calling in a couple minutes too early, or?
No,
you're
perfect
good.
time.
No, it's just a big party here.
How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad.
Neela, I'm going to get to you in just a second, but Lisa, I want you to just talk about equipment. Again, are you sort of on the same camp, if you will, as Stephen? Where equipment
absolutely. Stephen nailed it with the average player. Loft is your friend. My mom's a recreational golfer, and she had a Nike Sweet 16 driver, and that 16 degrees of loft. Wow, it helped her so much because she did not have anywhere near the 95 mile an hour club head speed Stephen's wife did. But loft is your friend. The other thing that I find if you were talking about recreational players, using equipment to maximize. You're right. You don't need to buy the newest, latest, greatest all the time. However, what I find, you really got to know about your shaft. I run into guys, I do a lot of corporate and charity golf tournaments, and I run into guys all the time, I'm hitting the double extra stiff shaft, and, they're bragging to their buddies. And here's the deal. You actually want to hit the most flexible shaft you can control. If you can control a stiff shaft, you want to hit it. If you can control a regular shaft, hit that. You will get more distance. Hitting the double extra stiff shaft just to impress your buddies is going to lose you 20 yards. So, again, it's really important that you're hitting the right flex of shaft for your club head speed. So that's something, and again, I get really annoyed with it in terms of women. A lot of women go into retailers, and the first thing they're done is they're led over to the ladies' golf club section. It's like, whoa, what's their club head speed? At 90, the average club head speed on the LPGA Tour is 90 miles an hour. So Stephen's wife is actually ripping it. And so but most women, you've got to match. If there's a woman that's relatively athletic, she should probably be in at least a senior flex shaft, maybe even a men's regular. And I hit a men's stiff. So, that's absolutely vital. And, to Ron's point, just because it's new doesn't mean, you've got to hit what works for you. And that's very true in putters. People will have putters 20, 30 years old, but also in driver technology, it's got to be something that looks good to your eye, that acoustically sounds good for you. And, using launch monitors it's great to be able to go to your local retailer. Typically you'll have a launch monitor that you can pop on for free, and we'll give you some numbers to start with. So again, that's a great start, but I think the average golfer out there should really make sure that they're looking at their club head speed and what shaft they should be properly fitted into.
Yeah, and being fitted properly is key as well.
Vital. And it's not that expensive. People think it's really expensive to get fitted, and not at all. So there's you can go to if you just even Google local club fitters and builders, fitters more importantly, obviously club fitters in your local area. You can definitely, these are people that are experts in their field. And if you're going to invest $400, $500 in a driver, gosh, you better make sure it fits you so you get the maximum amount out of it.
Exactly, and that's so true. Before we, again, continue up the line, let me bring on, I see we've got another caller in here as well. We're adding more to the party here on Golf Talk Live tonight. So let me just bring them on board. Good evening, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. You're on with Bill and Rick from ILDC.
Hey, it's the boogeyman here, Ted.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Grizzly.
Good, yourself, Rick? Hey, Bill.
Good.
All right, we've got Chris Mason, of course, adding to the mix here as well. Say hello to everybody before we continue on.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Chris.
Hey,
I'll see you
Boogie.
All right, what we're gonna do is we were talking here just about equipment, and I don't know how much of the program you've been tuning into, but the question I asked, and this is something that through my research, and not only for doing the program and just as a golf instructor as well. One of the things that I hear all the time is, well, I've bought this new driver and I just can't seem to, get the 20 or 30 extra yards that they always talk about. And so what I want to ask you, Chris, is this. First off, how important is equipment selection for you in a competition like this? And are you somebody that likes to keep up fairly current, or are you somebody that can kind of just go with the flow with whatever happens to be in the bag that day?
Well, I'd say equipment is of the utmost importance. It'd be like a carpenter using old tools or something, trying to do a fine cut or whatever. And I'm pretty current with my equipment. Currently, I'm hitting the Crank Formula 6 with a XXX Fujikura shaft at max length. And for years, I was hitting the 7 degree. And I couldn't attack it on the upswing, and I was putting too much spin on it, and that would create wind resistance, especially into the wind. and I was probably using up to 30 yards. So as Lisa was saying about getting properly fitted, I mean, you could go from a driver you think's right to you, then get fitted by a professional, and you could gain anywhere, I'd say, up to 30, 40 yards just on the right equipment. And I'd say that's probably the most important thing. I'd even put it past the importance of like training and whatnot. Having the right tools is probably the most important thing in this thing. And all the elite competitors are so close at the top of every division that having the proper equipment will, makes the difference between those few yards between, which makes the difference between winning and losing. So I'd say it's of the utmost importance.
So, Ron, you hear that, you need to go out and invest in a new driver.
Yes, I think so. I'm not sure. Well, I have a little funny story. I play in a fun golf league every Thursday night with my friends, and Lisa was dead on there when she said, you want to play the weakest or softest shaft that you can control. So I go down there and I play with my friends, and I took down my wife's driver one night, and it's a soft, I can't remember what it is. It's a soft flex seniors shaft, and honest to God, it's one of the longest drivers I've ever hit. And I bought a whole set from my wife for about $100, and I go down there and swing this thing just nice and smooth, and it just kicks properly for me at the bottom. And it's one of the longest drivers I've ever hit, and the thing's worth about $10. But it's really whippy, but it just kicks properly if I make a nice smooth swing. So yeah, it's that shaft. I always say you could put a brick on the end of a shaft, but if the shaft's kicking right, you could hit that brick a long way. So getting that shaft to work properly for you is huge. And as Lisa said, it's important because you want that kick, you want it to be soft, you want it to flex, and it's too stiff. It's a telephone pole. It's not doing anything for you, right? So, and she was right when she said, guys, what's that, Bill?
You are getting old, though, eh?
All right, it's been nice talking to you guys. I got to go.
I can see the competitive juices are starting to flow here a couple of days outside of the event. Let me ask some of the new ones that have just joined on the discussion tonight, Nilo and Chris and Nilo. I'm sorry, pardon me, Nilo.
That's
my
all right.
Apologies. Let me ask you guys both, and I'll start with you first. What do you do to prepare? I mean, obviously you're out hitting balls and that, but how far out from the event do you start really working on? I mean, obviously you're probably working maybe all year round, but what do you do to prepare physically, and what do you do to prepare mentally?
Well, for me, I do a pretty straightforward bodybuilding, strength building program in the winter, and then as the year approaches, I'm a competitive golfer, and actually that's my background. I spent 4 years at the University of Toronto playing, and so I'm a golfer first before I'm a long driver. So when it gets to sort of April, I sort of start backing it off, and I don't really pay attention to the weight room much in the summer. I actually, if anything, I probably go in and I focus on specific things like core and flexibility, but I really don't lift a heck of a lot in the summer. And this summer in particular, I haven't been lifting at all because I'm a bit injured at the moment. So I think the emphasis during the year is probably on golf. It's on developing a good golf swing and making sure that you generate your power efficiently.
So I guess then with that injury, then Ron's going to have an actual fair chance this year. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, probably, especially if I come at it from the other side of the ball.
I want you to ask the question about training regimen. Can you ask Billy that question? I want to hear what he does.
Yeah, Bill, we'll throw that question to you. Bill?
Well,
I think Bill's left the building.
You want my training regimen is probably Jack and Coke and half a pack of cigarettes, to be honest with you.
That's a John Daly routine.
That's a John Daly.
Hey, well, on his side, they're busy putting this stuff together, right? They're working hard getting things set up so all of us can enjoy a great venue. So I don't mind them not being busy hitting balls. It's a good venue when we show up.
But you know what? The one thing I do want to say about the equipment, and a lot of the callers that have called in, Lisa and Stephen Lowe have commented to it, is the fact that these guys put in time to know their numbers prior to going to a club builder, and you have to find a club builder that you trust to build your equipment for you. And the major manufacturers that are out there, they may not have the expertise that you need in terms of building your equipment for you. But it's the time that these athletes that come to these competitions day in and day out and year after year, that they spend training and competing, they know their numbers. So when they go to their club builders, they trust their club builders to build those clubs to the numbers and specifics that they're generating, whether it's on TrackMan or another measurement device. They trust that. And it's, again, it goes back to the work and effort that these long drivers put in, the athletes put into this sport. It really does speak volumes to that. Bobby Peterson and One Stop Power Shop Golf, he's a phenomenal club builder, and he does a great job for his team and his athletes out there. And we're going to hear from him later tonight, I'm sure. But that's just one example of somebody that can build specs to numbers and the athletes as they specifically put the time and effort and work into their swing speeds and ball speeds and spin rates.
Rick, let me ask you, I want to go back to something that you talked about in the rules, and since we're on the discussion of equipment right now, I want to throw this in here as well. Obviously, you adhere to the rules of the USGA and that, but what about with particularly some of the newer equipment, like a lot of the newer drivers out there have the ability to make adjustments? Is that permitted in the competition? For instance, if somebody that maybe tends to be a little bit of a fader or a drawer of the ball wants to make adjustments, is that permitted with the equipment as long as they don't add anything? Obviously, a lot of the equipment also has weight ability as well. Is that something that they can tinker with as long as they're not adding anything to the equipment that's outside of the manufacturer's abilities? Is that permitted in the tournament?
Yes, it is, and that's correct, Ted. As long as there's nothing added to the actual physical attribute of the club head or the shaft at the time of competition, and it is USGA approved, it is allowed in competition. But if the grip or the shaft or the head specifically has been modified since its manufacturing date, then it is not allowed in competition. It's been altered.
Okay. And obviously, as you alluded to earlier as well, you obviously go through a process before the competitors get out there to make sure that everybody's adhering to that. And I trust that everybody here is obviously on the up and up. They want a fair competition, and they certainly want to make sure everything's done above board. So that's something, obviously, that you do to keep the integrity of the event, correct?
We do due diligence in the integrity of the event from start to finish, Ted. And you know what? I mean, the callers that you have on the line and the people that are coming to our Canadian National Championships and our International World Team Championships have the utmost integrity in terms of competition with their teammates and their competitors in the tee box. And as we spoke about earlier tonight, the camaraderie, and someone brought it up, but I mean, the camaraderie in this sport is incredible. And you can have someone that's in the tee box that has broken a shaft or a club head, and it may in fact be their last one. There'll be a lineup of people standing there to hand that individual one of their own clubs to get through their set at our event, because, you know, the camaraderie is second to none. I mean, I've been in sports, you know, being a Canadian, I've been in hockey and baseball all my life, and I've never, ever seen the camaraderie that I've seen here in Long Drive, especially at our events.
Fantastic.
I agree wholeheartedly, Rick. Absolutely.
Before we continue on, I see we've got one more that wants to jump in the discussion as well, so let me bring them on. Good evening and welcome to Golf Talk Live. You're on with Rick and Bill from ILDC.
Hey, guys. How's it going? It's Sean.
Hey, Sean. How are you?
Sean. How you doing?
Hey, Sean.
I'm a little late. Had to put the kids to bed.
That's the most important thing, Sean. Get the kids to bed so you can have a little fun and downtime. Sean, welcome to the program, and I know that you're looking forward as well to a great event this weekend. Tell us a little bit, since you're a newcomer to the discussion tonight. I'll give you the first opportunity to chime in. What do you look most forward to this type of event? I mean, obviously you're there to compete and you want to have a good time in that respect, but what's one of the things that you really gets your sort of juices flowing, if you will, coming into an event like this?
Well, I mean, obviously, like Rick and Bill were just touching on there, the camaraderie, seeing guys are going to be there, and new guys that might be there, whether it's at the Canadians or we go to a different event, seeing the guys from the States that you only see once in a while. It's always good to see new and old faces, and obviously jump on the grid with them, and obviously try to beat them if they beat you last year, or know that they're coming for you if you beat them. So it's all, like I said, the camaraderie is there.
Now, is there, and this is really for anybody in the panel, you can either shout out the name or names. It doesn't matter whether it's an event or a competition. There's always one or two that sort of stand out as far as the jokester or the prankster, if you will. Is there such a beast in this tournament?
Bill
this
Stark.
Weekend?
Ryan Hawkins.
I heard Bill Stark and I heard Brian.
Ryan Hawkins.
Ryan Hawkins. Okay, so what does Bill do that sort of sets it apart? And just remember, this is a clean show, so we can't get too.
Billy doesn't like to wear shoes.
Yeah.
Wow, that would definitely that would definitely add some color to the event for sure. Obviously, and I'm just kidding aside, just having some fun here, but obviously you guys and the gals as well enjoy coming to this particular event, and even though you are there to compete and you want to bring your best, if you will, you want to have some fun, and that's really Bill and Rick, what you've tried to design this whole, as you talked about earlier, it's not just the competitors but the families as well. You want them to have a good experience as well. So in addition to things going on around the area, is there things that go on at these events that sort of cater to the family side of things?
At our event here this weekend, we're going to have what we call the Bay Fest going on downtown.
Right, okay.
So we've got a little bit of a carnival going on downtown. So the families, if they don't want to stay here and watch the event, they can slide downtown. We've got hay wagons going down that way, and they can go down and watch that. Take kids for a ride on some carnival events and stuff like that. So, there's a little bit more than just this event going on this weekend.
Perfect.
And in terms of the event itself, with Saturday night, we're going to have some music on Saturday night, and we host a barbecue here during the day for the athletes and families as well, to bring everybody together. So we do have additional things going on at the event to make it a little more than just a long drive event. And internationals is truly for those, and there's some callers on the line here that have been to our international events that can speak to it. It's a 7-day event, 4 of which is competition, but it truly brings everyone together, as we said earlier, Ted, in terms of new people and new friends and friends that last a lifetime. And again, I go back to the whole camaraderie thing. This sport itself generates camaraderie and friends for life. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think now let me ask you, and we'll go up the food chain, as I said again, and Sean, we'll start with you. Obviously, all of you or most of you play golf besides, not necessarily professionally, but play golf besides in these competitions. So, Sean, we'll start with you, and then we'll go up to Chris. And forgive me, did you say it Nilo or Nilo?
No, that would be Nilo.
Nilo, okay. I want to make sure. I apologize.
We'll call him Nilo.
Okay, Nilo. No, that's fine. I'll remember it this time. Okay, Sean, do you obviously play golf in addition to some of the competitions that you do here with the ILDC?
Yeah, I think most of us are golfers before we're long drivers. But yeah, I do play golf.
Okay. Do you compete in golf, or is it more
in golf?
Yes.
No, I play in a lot of charity tournaments. Okay. My competing days of golf are over.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I go to golf once or twice on the weekend, probably about 8 or 9 handicap. And going back to who's a prankster on, I hate to change the subject, who's a prankster in the group here. Nilo pranked me pretty good last night. He said, I'm injured, I can't hit. He showed up at the range pumping 400 drives left, right, and center all night long. So I thought that That was a pretty good prank. Telling me he's injured, I can't move my shoulder, and then wham, 400 yards every ball.
I just wanted you to have something to think about, Boogie, the last few nights sleep you get here before you hit your first ball.
Yeah.
Neela, what about you? Do you? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say,
sorry.
Neela, do you play? Do you compete in golf as well, or no?
Yeah, so I'm a member of I'm an intermediate member at the National Golf Club of Canada. My dad's a member there, and got me introduced to golf. As soon as I could stand, type of thing. And my mom joined Whitevale Golf Club back in 2006, and I recently took over her membership a few years back. So I'm a golfer, and like I said, I spent 4 years at U of T golfing and played in national amateurs and Ontario Ams. So that was basically my in, and that's why I sort of got introduced to long drive in the first place.
And you talk about rivalries, Ted. I mean, you've got two on the line right now. You've got Nilo Gonfeld, who's the reigning Canadian champion as a 214, and I know Chris Mason's really wanting that title. So there's a rivalry right there. And to speak to the camaraderie, they were out hitting last night, so that tells you something. Yeah,
that gives you a pretty good idea. Ron, what about you?
Not anymore. I played a lot of golf growing up as a junior, played a lot of golf, and I've taught this great game for about 25 years now. I'm not as busy anymore teaching, but I've taught it for a long time, and I've also had a lot of fun. I do trick shot golf shows at corporate outings and tournaments, so I've been doing that for about probably 12 to 15 years, and I've had a blast doing that. So, but competitive golf at the moment, not that much. I just dream at night that I'm going to beat Billy on the tee. That's my main goal.
Good luck, buddy.
Stephen, what about you?
Yes, I'm not competitive right now, but I'll probably take it up again. I played in the Ontario Amateur some time ago. I played in the Porter Cup, which is an amateur event held in the United States, which some pretty good amateur golfers. The year I played, I came dead last, which was an accomplishment because Phil Mickelson won that year. I was some 25 strokes behind him, and that's when I realized I just wasn't that good.
Right.
I'm okay. Like I played today, my wife and I played today. I was four over par, and I missed 4 or 5 birdie putts, so I can still stick handle it around a little bit. But I was definitely a golfer first, and I got introduced into long drive. I was just golfing, and a long driver from the States joined our group, and he hit it, and I said, well, I'm going to give it a try, and that was some 10 years ago. So I was definitely a golfer before a long driver.
Very good. And stick handling, I believe that's a hockey term, is it not, Stephen?
It is when you thin a few wedges over the green, yes.
Yeah. Now, just before I go to Lisa here for a second, because I think you were the one that said this earlier, Stephen. You said you're from around the Burlington, Hamilton area.
Yes, I'm in Burlington.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Very good. I'm originally from Burlington as well, so that's why I brought that up. Lisa, what about you? I know that you do a lot of events all over the place, but do you also try to play some competitive golf as well?
Yeah, you know what? It's amazing. I had a late start. I went to one junior night when I was in grade 8, and there were 60 boys and me, and the coach told me to go hit my 6-iron at the end of the range and kind of ignored me for the rest of the night. So I actually quit golf and didn't pick it up again until university when my boyfriend at the time, now husband, had to go play for corporate outings. Like golf truly is a key networking skill, and I can't say strongly enough, especially for women out there, to get into the golf world to go to corporate and charity outings. You know, you don't have to be breaking 100 to do that, but yeah, I played on the Canadian Women's Tour. In 2009, it was funny because in 1999, the way I got into golf was I was volunteering when the LPGA came to Calgary at the time, the Des Maurier Classic, one of the 4 majors, and it was 10 years later in 2009. I was inside the ropes trying to qualify. I shot a 74 in the practice round and then blew up on the day. What I find is my biggest struggle playing. I'm about a 4 or 5 handicap. Is because of our club head speeds. If we open that club face or close that club face by 1 degree at our club head speeds, that is 30 yards offline. So we're more like your Dustin Johnsons and Bubba Watsons out there that can really spray it, and aren't always. If you watch the LPGA Tour girls, those girls are boom, 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 straight down the pipe, never out of bounds, never in the hazards, because their club head speeds aren't quite as high. So yes, I do try to play competitive golf when I can, but I have realized when I did that Monday qualifier, holy cow, wow, these guys I guarantee you, every single person, and Michelle on the phone, are practicing hours and hours at the range on just long drive. Yet when you play full golf, now it's an hour in the sand, an hour putting, irons, chipping. Like it's a full-time job if you really want to be serious about it.
Exactly, and I agree. Let me just I see we got a couple more callers. Let me get everybody on here, and then we'll continue up the board. Good evening, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. You're on with Rick and Bill from ILDC. Hi.
How you doing?
Hi. Who do we have
Bobby
the pleasure
Peterson, of North Carolina.
Bobby Peterson, how are you? Welcome to the show.
All right.
Can you hear me okay?
It's pretty interesting. Yeah, I can hear you fine, yes.
Bobby, why don't you tell us a little bit about your involvement? Why don't you let us know a little bit about your involvement with ILDC, and we'll continue the conversation there.
Okay. First off, I'm Bobby Peterson. I'm the owner of One Stop Power Shop in North Carolina. I'm co-captain of the Team USA for the ILDC Championship this year. And I'm a board member of the ILDC with Rick and Bill. And tonight what we want to introduce is we're actually going to launch the ILDC USA, and our first event will be October the 3rd here in North Carolina.
Fantastic. So some expansion, of course, into the United States with ILDC. Fantastic. And that's going to be that date is going to be again. Sorry.
The date of the tournament will be October the 3rd, and it will be held at Keith Hills Golf Course in Bowie's Creek, North Carolina.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about, again, how you got involved with Rick and Bill, and obviously you're looking to help them expand the ILDC here in the United States. But how did you originally connect with them? Were you involved earlier in long drive yourself, and just through the transition, I guess, of being involved as a long drive hitter that you got involved with them, or what's how did you meet Bill and Rick?
As far as long drive, I've been competing in the Remax World Long Drive with the LDA since '95. I did the first qualifier that they had in North Carolina, in Greensboro, North Carolina in '95, and done it every year since then. My involvement with ILDC was 2 years ago. Actually had an opportunity to go to Mazatlan and compete for the USA, and we lost in the finals of Canada, so I had some revenge on them boys. But been fighting them ever since.
Yeah.
Strong competition, that's for sure.
And Rick and Bill, are you still there? I think we.
Oh, we're sure.
Okay, I think we lost you there temporarily, and I see that you've looks like you've come back on. So thank you. And I've got one. Yeah, I got one more I want to bring on here. I see that's just called in, and I want to make sure we get it in because we're really getting towards the end of the time here. Good evening and welcome to Golf Talk Live. You're on with Rick and Bill at ILDC.
Daryl Braniff.
Hey, Daryl. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. It's a party out here, Daryl.
There is. Where?
Well, everyone has to go say hi.
Everybody else, you've got a whole.
Figure out how to get on.
Yeah, it can be a challenge sometimes. But guys, I want to thank you all for coming on tonight, and I appreciate. And we're going to continue the conversation here for a few more moments. Daryl, I want to just get some little background on you to give you an opportunity to share a couple things with the audience here, and obviously your fellow competitors here know a little bit more, but I'd like you to share it as well. How long have you been involved with long drive, and what's going to be your strategy coming into this weekend's event?
I'm just going to go and watch. I've had a bunch of surgeries and stuff, and I'm not really capable of hitting it like those guys do anymore. But maybe next year. I've been involved long drive for 13 years, Remax World 10 times, placed in some of the LDA events. I don't know, I hit a ball far for a long time, but can't do it no more.
So you're going to take a back seat for this weekend, but you're looking forward to a springboard, hopefully in the next season.
Yes, I am.
what are some of the going back over your time as a long drive competitor? What were some of the things that you tried to focus on when you were out there? Like, as I talked about with the other guests earlier on, I gave them an opportunity. What did you do physically to prepare for a tournament, and how far out did you prepare? And what mentally, when you got into that tee box and you were ready to compete, did you just have sort of one swing thought, or did you have a number of key swing thoughts in preparation? So talk about your preparation physically and then mentally how you prepared for the events.
Well, I used to prepare by, like, when I get into the tee box, I don't have any swing thoughts at all. All I do is say something in my head, and I should be hitting the ball on that finish, you know what I mean? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. On 4, you're hitting the ball, and it should go straight. It keeps your tempo in line.
Very good.
And,
so keep it simple?
Yeah, you don't think of too much when you're in there. If you do, you don't hit the ball far. The person with the least amount of swing thought usually wins.
Exactly. So that, Bill, I think that leaves you out then, because I think you had too many swing thoughts going on there earlier in the show. But anyways, let me ask, because Bobby sort of threw everybody, because obviously most of you here threw you under the bus talking about some revenge here. So let's talk about that. Bobby, what revenge have you got going here?
We're putting together 4 teams to take down the La Manzanilla this year, and we're going after that trophy. Simple as that.
You wish.
I'm bringing
Go Canada, go!
You ain't got the parts, buddy.
Now you know you've got some tough competition. Now listen, I love my American friends down here, but I got to tell you, we Canadians are pretty darn tough.
Right on.
I agree with you. The Canadians have been pretty tough. In Mazatlan they got us, and last year the international team actually won the crown in Dominican Republic. So it seemed like we all struggled with that tight grid, and the wind conditions were a little tough.
Who was second?
Canada
second,
4. Canada 4 was second.
Yeah, Canada.
I agree with you, Bill.
Second.
And we always win the beer drinking competition, so there's that.
Yeah.
Who was the captain of the international team?
We got that cap, no problem.
Whoa. Who was the captain of the international team that won?
I think it was
Rich, I'll let you explain the international team.
That would be Nilo Schoenfeld, right? In Canada.
That would be Nilo. He was Canadian. Nilo Schoenfeld.
Actually, the international team was made up of guys and a lady from different countries. It's kind of a blend, and there was 2 Americans on that international team that won last year.
Yeah, but you needed a Canadian captain to give them some direction. I had to keep them in line.
Canadian captain, right?
That's probably true.
Yeah, I can see the rhetoric is already starting to mount. As I said earlier, we're only a couple of days out, and the fervor is starting to build. Let me ask you guys this, in just the final few moments of the show. We've only got a few moments here, unfortunately, and it's amazing how fast the time goes by when you've got some great people on the line here. Let me ask you guys this. Of course, you've got a great event coming up this weekend, Bill and Rick, and all of the supporters here that have called in tonight. Thank you very much, first off, ladies and gentlemen, for calling in tonight. I appreciate it. And throwing your support not only for the program but also for Bill and Rick. But you've got a great event coming up here, the Canadian National Championship, which is going to be a springboard for lots of great things. But then you've got another event, as Bobby just alluded to, coming up here in a little over, or I guess a little under now, a month's time in the United States in North Carolina. What can they expect down at your event, or down at the North Carolina event, Rick?
Well, I think the biggest news that the ILDC has to offer at this point in time is the launch of the ILDC USA. In conjunction with Bobby Peterson, we're holding our first inaugural event in North Carolina. Next year, our plans are to hold 3 USA events. We've got some other things in the works right now that we can't obviously speak to.
Sure. Right.
But we're looking forward to the growth of the ILDC, not only in Canada here and internationally throughout the Caribbean, but now in the USA, and that's huge. In long drive, a great percentage of long drivers are living in the United States and participate in the full team championships. And as we said earlier in our mission statement of 2010 when we started this organization, we simply want to grow the sport of long drive for the athletes to give them a platform to hit in. And we're doing that with the launch of the ILDC USA with Bobby Peterson and One Stop Power Shop. It's going to be a great year next year. 2016 is going to be a great year for the ILDC.
Fantastic. And just maybe give each of you an opportunity just to have some closing thought before we go. And I'm going to start with, only because I'm afraid she's fallen asleep, Michelle, why don't you have a few words here if you want. I didn't mean to skip past you here for the most part of the evening, but I want to give you an opportunity to say some closing thoughts as you go into this weekend's event.
Everybody kind of highlighted, I'm going to touch back a bit on equipment, and I think it was Ron that talked about older equipment, and Lisa with shaft technology. I mean, shaft technology has always been my main priority, and then you go back to the school of thought of, if you've got your swing mechanics dialed in, you truly should be able to hit almost what anybody puts in your hand at the top of your game at this level. And so I always come back down to, if you don't make good contact, it doesn't matter really how fast you swing, what kind of club head speed you generate. If you don't get maximum efficiency, it's still not going to go. So that's one good thing for beginners to work on. They're not out there swinging super fast. They just are happy to hit the ball, and they seem to focus more on making good contact and build on stuff like that. So it kind of speaks to the amateurs out there as well. You don't need to get caught up in a lot in the technology. Of course, when you get to higher levels, when you dial in your numbers, what Rick was saying, once you know your numbers and you can get things built specifically to help your game, that's obviously advantageous, but I think you can't get too caught up in it and just kind of go for working on some of the basic things that all golfers do and make great contact, and that's ultimately what let the equipment do the job for you, no matter what you're hitting.
Right, exactly. Well said. Lisa, any closing thoughts?
Well, I just want to wish everyone the best. I think that, as I mentioned when I first came on the show, Bill and Rick are just rock stars in what they have done with the ILDC and continuing our Canadian National Championships and what they're doing internationally, and just so stoked to hear about 2016. We do have that camaraderie, as Rick said, and I hope everyone hits their absolute best ball, and the numbers will fall where they do in the placings. But I wish everyone the best, and go long.
Well said. Stephen, your closing thoughts and comments?
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, guys, and thank you, Rick and Bill, for the opportunity to hit this weekend. Guys, to our fellow hitters, we've done all the hard work. Let's just see what we see on the weekend.
I love it.
Exactly. Ron?
Absolutely. Just wishing everybody the best and looking forward to the future of the ILDC, and hopefully I have a little bit of luck on my side this weekend. Long drive, you need a little bit of luck, a good bounce. I want a nice 50. You're 60.
Yeah. Nilo?
Yeah, just looking forward to a great weekend with Rick and Bill. I like to have fun in the events that I play in, whether it's at the Cold or any event anywhere around the world. So I look forward to this event every year, and looking forward to this weekend. And Boogie, we'll see you in the blocks.
Sounds good. And Chris? Hi, Chris, are you still with us?
Great.
Hello?
He's at the range.
Hey, I'm here.
All right.
Just sorry about that. Just a thanks to Rick and Bill and Linda for giving us all a place to showcase our skills, and safe travels for everybody coming from far away for this to take a run at the LDC national title. And Nilo, I will see you on the weekend. Nice prank the other day.
You got it, Boogie.
And Sean,
I just want to thank Rick and Bill for hosting this event this weekend. Look forward to seeing all you guys on the tee box, and especially Bobby Peterson for holding the first ILDC USA event coming up in October. And same with Nilo and Boogie. I'll see you guys on the blocks. Lo, I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Sounds good.
Yeah, bye.
And Bobby, your closing thoughts and comments?
Yeah, I'd like to wish all the Canadians good luck in their national championship this weekend. I know it'll be a successful event for all of them. And I'd like to invite everybody down for our inaugural event, October 3rd. You can contact me or Bill or Rick and come down. Let's see what you got. And we might even have a beer drinking contest for Lisa.
There we go.
I can kind of hold my own.
Listen, I think Lisa will do very well in that as well. And I don't even know you, Lisa, but I can just tell you've got some energy there. Daryl, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to say that Ricky and Bill put on fabulous events, and I introduced those two guys, by the way. Anyways, they are the premier event in long drive now anyway.
So
Go ahead.
So you're to blame.
Yeah,
right.
Daryl, well, on that note, let me just end his call right now. And no, I'm kidding. And Rick and Bill, I'm going to give you the last final words before we close off this program, and then and give my final comments.
We just
Rick?
want to welcome everyone to the Canadian National Championship here at Stars Golf Course, and wish everyone safe travels. And that's the most important thing to us, is that everyone gets here safely and has a good time while they're here, and competes to their best ability. And it's going to be a fun weekend. We're excited about it, and we're excited about crowning Team Canada #1 to go down to the World Team Championships and take that trophy away from Bobby Peterson again.
Well said. Well said, and I can see the game is on. Well, let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen, just as I close off the program here, I want to thank Rick and Bill, of course, for coming on the show. I have an open invitation to come on the program anytime. It's always a lot of fun when I have you guys here, and as I said earlier, you can certainly feel the love in the room, as it were, or certainly over the phone lines. And Bobby, I'm just going to say I think you need to watch out, because they're going to be bringing their game in October. So I think you need to ease back the rhetoric just a little bit, because I think you're going to be getting a little stomped on when they come down there and start hitting some of those long drives. So so you get out there and practice, Bobby, and get the place ready and that. But I think they're going to show you some serious competition.
I'm ready for it. Let's go.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Again, Rick and Bill, much continued success. And as I said, you have an open door invitation here. Anything I can do to help grow this game, and particularly ILDC, I'll be more than happy to lend you some airtime in that. I know the audience always enjoys having some interesting discussion. You guys have certainly brought not only some interesting discussion, but a lot of fun to the program as well. So thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Have fun this weekend. Rick, reach out to me after and let me know how things go, and we can talk about that. And we'll talk about as things get closer to your international championship and world championship as well. We'll talk a little bit about as time goes on. But thanks, guys. Everybody, have a great weekend, and good luck.
Well, thanks very much for having us all on, Ted. And you know what? Thanks to everybody that's on the air tonight, all of the hitters that called in tonight. Thank you guys for taking the time out to be on with us tonight. We really appreciate the support.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Have a good night.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Good night, guys. All right.
All right.
Okay. That was my special guests, Bill Stark and Rick Benoit from ILDC, which is the International Long Drive Challenge, and they're going to be hosting there at the Starks Golf Course the 6th annual Canadian National Championship here this weekend up in Ontario, and I believe it's the 5th and the 6th is the actual event date. But obviously, as you can tell by tonight's discussion, they're getting up all fired up for the event, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I want to take this opportunity, of course, in addition, to thank all of the callers tonight. Thank you guys and gals for calling in and adding your support. And I can't thank you enough on behalf of Rick and Bill. I know that they appreciate that support, and I know you guys are going to have a great event this weekend. So enjoy, hit them long and hit them straight, and may the best man and woman win their respective event. Thank you as well, obviously, to all of the listeners from around the world for faithfully tuning into Golf Talk Live each week. I certainly have a great amount of pleasure and enjoyment of having a number of highly talented guests on the show, from everyone from coaches to teaching professionals, authors, entrepreneurs, and, of course, long ball hitters, as these guys are on tonight's show. And it's really through their participation and guest appearances that have helped make Golf Talk Live a first-class show. Thanks to all the supporters and sponsors of the program, and I will see you here next week, next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, right here on Golf Talk Live. God bless everybody. Have a great week.